Hello again, welcome to another video. Out wild camping again, and a bit of a special one this time. I've recently passed 450 subscribers, so on the way to 500, so I thought I'd bring somebody else out, show him the ropes a bit and show you what he's made of.
Good afternoon.
Welcome Mr. Paul Messer, of all people, to this piddly little channel. So thank you, Paul, for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
So he's driven all the way down to my neck of the woods. We're in the Brecon Beacons again, heading up towards Llyn Varch, hoping to stay up on the tops, maybe somewhere around Pickersdy, but the weather is a bit on and off. We've just had a few rain showers, but if you look back, that's where it's coming from. It looks to be pretty decent, so we may get lucky and stay up. If not though, we'll end up by the lake. But we've had a bit of a chin wag on the way up, and no doubt we'll put the worlds to rights. And when we pitch up a little bit later on, so I will grab him for a chat once we get a bit further up. But we're both blowing out our arse a bit on the so yeah, I'll catch you a bit further up. Well, for now the weather seems to be holding off. Forecast was showers and we haven't had anything since the start, and if anything it's opening up, which is great, because of all the times I've been up here I've never ever had a view. So I think I can thank Paul for that. He brought the good weather of Sheffield with him. What do you think? But we've got some stunning views all the way across to Carmarthen that way, and the summit of Brecon is just come into sight there. So the plan will be head up over there and try and find a spot somewhere either on Van Voil or Pickersdy, or if the weather does take a turn for the worst, then we can always drop down to the lake. There's plenty of spots around there. But yeah, going good. It's only about 2:30, so we've got loads of time to pick the best spot. So next stop, Brecon. That's what we've got to get up next, but we're just overlooking Llyn Varch, the biggest of the two lakes up here. It doesn't look like we're the first up here either. I can spot someone down there with a tent. Can't make out what one it is, but we're not heading down there this time. We're heading up, hopefully staying on the tops like I said earlier, but we'll see. Weather's still been really kind to us. But as any of you who've travelled this way know, that could change pretty quickly. So we've just stopped for 10 minutes at the summit of Brecon. We had a bit of a rest in the shelter at the summit, and well, we've got a few options for camp. Like I said earlier, we can either look at Van Voil, which is over that way, but considering the time, we're probably going to end up pushing on and maybe end up over on Pickersdy over there. So it's a bit of a drag up to the summit, especially after the long drag up there earlier. Legs felt there, so the stop was most welcome. But yeah, we'll get on a little bit, and I'll probably see you at the top of Pickersdy. So I was going to wait until the summit of Pickersdy to bring you back, but I thought you might as well take a look at that while I'm here. All the times I've been up here, I've never seen it from this angle because I've never had the weather. but that is unreal. It's probably the most photographed lake in the country, and I can see why. You've just got a little bit of cloud coverage coming in, and I don't know whether it's rain or just a bit of haze, but it's coming from that direction. Wind is not that strong, but it's biting, so I don't know whether or not we'll end up on top or down by the lake, we'll see. That path is brutal. To drop down off Fanvol down to the base of Pickesty and up a seriously steep path to the summit, but we're here and I think we may get lucky and end up somewhere up here for the night, and we've got that to look at, and then in the morning sunrise will be somewhere over that way looking back towards Llanbrecon and Fanvol, which would be absolutely amazing if it happens. Forecast says it's going to be pretty good, so fingers crossed. Wow. Wow and wow again. So we found our spot for the night, just off the summit there of Pickesty, overlooking Van Vark. Not sure we could have picked any better, although we could have picked anywhere. Spot for choice was places up here. So I'm out again in my trusty Helm 1, my go-to tent nowadays, and Paul is out in something a bit different. The Nord tent, was it?
Yeah, Vern 1.
Vern 1.
Polycotton.
So he's lugged that a long way, and it's not the lightest of tents, so kudos to him. I've never been sure of which pole to put in this tent first, red or blue. Does anyone have a preference as to what holes they put their poles in as well? So you get 2 holes on the bottom of the straps. I always end up going for the outside holes. I think I'm going to be really picky and twist it a little bit, just so my door is facing the lake a little bit more. So the wind isn't supposed to be doing much tonight. I think it's forecast something like 10-15 mile an hour at most. I shouldn't need to peg everything out, but I've got all the pegs, so I might as well. So just finished setting the tent up, turned around and saw that. I'm not sure, I could have picked a better spot. So I bought myself a new jacket. I haven't tried it yet. It's the Rab Electron Pro. So hopefully this will mean I can sit up a little bit longer in the winter nights outside the tent and enjoy the views. So I know we're not in winter yet, but I've gone for the warmer setup. Got the Thermarest Xlite and my Rab Ascent 900 down sleeping bag. Now, considering the temperature is going to be down to, I think they said 1 or maybe hovering around 0, it should be plenty warm enough. But I'm going to give that a bit of time to loft up. Obviously won't be turning in for a while yet, but I always like to get my stuff out early, give it a chance to loft up. But I think it's time to crack open a beer. Cheers everybody. Right, so I've had one beer, but it's a little bit cold, so I need something warm inside, so I'm either going to get a coffee or a tea on. Something to warm me up a bit, because the wind is absolutely freezing. It's not that strong, it's just got a proper bite to it. I've not brought a windbreaker with me today. Don't know if that's a mistake or not. We'll find out soon enough. That's exactly what I need right now. So despite this biting wind, plan is for me and Paul to sit out and enjoy as much of this as we can. So we're going to have a little bit of a chat, which I don't know if I'll put in this video. I may put it as a separate video. But we're gonna have a sit down, just have a bit of a chin wag into the twilight hours. We basically put the world to rights. So I'm all tucked up, ready for bed. Just started picking with rain, so it seems like a good time to try and get some shut eye. The rain's forecast till about 6-7 o'clock in the morning, and then it's supposed to clear up, so hopefully we'll get a good sunrise. So unless anything drastic or fantastic happens, I'll see you in the morning. Morning. I've been up for a while. I've opened my eyes around about 6:30, 7:15. Took myself out for a leak, and I've been outside for probably the last 20 minutes. Just can't take my eyes off the clouds. We're just right at the top of the mist that's rolling in. Really, really windy, really cold, but the views, when you get that break in the clouds, you can see the cloud tops for miles. So yeah, I've been out for far too long, taking in the scenery. So I've just jumped back in the tent now. I'm gonna make myself a coffee and have some breakfast. It doesn't look like we're gonna get that awesome sunrise, but the views are awesome nonetheless. How many times have you watched people pouring water into a cup, boiling it for a tea or a coffee? I still do it every time. Ready? Here comes the light in the stove shot. Let's face it, that's the best one you've seen today. You know what's coming next? That's a brew with a view. While it lasted. Right, so jump back in the tent. I'm gonna start packing things up, just slowly really, not on any massive rush, other than the fact that obviously Paul's got a 5-hour drive to get home, but it's still really early, so it's not too bad. This jacket, I gotta say, I'm really impressed with it. Sat out last night in the cold wind and didn't feel it at all, and this morning I've been out there for about half an hour altogether, and the wind is freezing. My hands are absolutely like ice, but stick them in the pockets, like putting them in an oven. So yeah, it's a really good purchase. I'll definitely be using this on my winter camps, and maybe even the chillier spring ones. Just busy faffing, packing up, but look at this. Wow. Me and Paul have literally just jumped out of our tents at exactly the same time to see this. I'm just about to see the lake through the clouds at the bottom. That is another level. If it weren't for the wind, this would be lovely. This wind was supposed to drop off this morning. If anything, it's getting worse. Tent's standing up pretty well though. But I think Paul's is putting mine to shame. I should really be packing up, but I can't stop looking at this. Well, I'm almost packed away, just the mat and the tent to go really. So won't be long before we'll be making our way off the hill. And the way I pack my bag when I come on these trips, I always put the tent on the bottom. And I've always wondered if you've got just a top loading bag, how you do that, because you'd end up leaving all your gear out to pack your tent down and then put your tent in first, then put all your gear in. But if it's wet and windy, you're going to get your gear all wet. So it's the reason I go for these Osprey packs. I know they're not the only ones that do it, but I always make sure I've got a pack with a bottom zip on it, because I'll pack everything in and then I'll just push it up to the top of the pack, leave a gap at the bottom, and then I've got enough room to put the tent in. And then if I need to do any rejigging or anything like that, the tent's in the bottom and I can just pack things in around and above that. So I'll always put the stuff that I won't need until camp at the bottom on top of the tent, as it were. So first thing is the sleeping bag. Push all that as far down as it will go. Next is the mat. That goes down the side. And my pillow. So that stuff, I know I'm not going to need it until I unpack the tent and everything. Next is spare clothes. Again, generally tend to put clothes I'm going to wear in the night in there. Anything I'm going to need during the day, waterproofs and so on, they'll go in the stretchy pocket on the outside. And then from here on in, just take your pick really. Electricals, stove, food which is empty now, tent shoes, which I didn't even bother with. And then it means then I can zip the top of the bag up, And then when it comes to putting the tent in, I can shove everything up till it won't go any further, pack the tent, and then I can shove things like my jacket in the gaps that are left. Most importantly of all, my bin. If you bring it with you, you can take it home. So that's the tent all dried off. Before I start dropping it down, taking the pegs out, I'm gonna put my bag around the other side, tether it to the bag, which is the direction the wind's coming. So as I take it out, if the tent does decide to go anywhere, the bag's gonna stop it. I don't know knots like Paul knows knots, so I just tied it on randomly. He'd have done some kind of half hitch, clove dealie. The other half's watching. Can I have a pair of gloves for Christmas?
You don't watch, do they?
So that's the easy bit done. Time for some fun. Always keep one peg in before I start wrapping up. So like I said before, give myself a little bit of space at the bottom of the bag, just to stuff the tent in. And then the last thing to go in will be the poles, just on the side of everything in the bag. Just make sure I always do one last check. Any pegs, anything that might have been left out. So the plan now is head down to Llyn Varch, loop around the bottom, follow the lower route of the Beacons way, all the way back to where we started. Looking at it, we may be clouded out lower down. So not only have I had probably my best morning, even without a sunrise, those views make up for it. I've just had my first Brecon Spectre as well, so I think
that's me too as well. My first.
I'll have to bring Paul more often, I think. But the tents last night, we were just talking now, winds probably got up to around 30-40 gusting, and really impressed with the tent. It's definitely the highest winds I've camped in any tent, and it hardly budged. And his thing it was tight as a drum all night. Hardly heard a flap, you said? No. So
really quiet.
yeah, mine took a bit of a beating. Got out this morning and had a look at the back of it, and it was bending over a little bit, the out there, but stood up to it well. So I think we can class that as a 4-season tent. What do you reckon?
No, it's not far off. You can use it. You can use it in 4 seasons, no bother at all. So it's just one of them things that there'll be odd situations where it's probably not quite enough. But yeah, I'd be happy. I'd be happy to use it all year round in the UK.
I mean, those sort of conditions would probably be the worst. You know, for the wind,
yeah,
that would be the worst I'd be out in, because it wasn't forecast for that. It was forecast maybe 20-mile-an-hour gusts, but we definitely topped that. So as I said, it stood up really, really well. So that's kind of what I'd rather. I don't want to go chasing this type of weather. I'd rather chase decent stuff, and if I get caught out, have gear good enough to cope with it. But if the weather's going to be pushing 60 or 70 mile an hour, then I'm just going to get off the hill.
Should we go down that way? I reckon I'll pass.
I don't know, we got the walking pole, so we'll be alright.
Nah. We'll stick to the path.
So we've just dropped down, getting to the lake now, the Van Vaak, and the views are good up there, but we've been treated to absolutely spectacular down here as well. Sunlight just beaming over the top of Pickersty and Van Voil, over the top of the lake, and these clouds. The band must be really thin, because we were just above them at the top and we're just below them down here. I thought we might have get clagged out a little bit when we got to the bottom, but we just seemed to be in that perfect sweet spot. But the way the light is bouncing off them, it's absolutely beautiful. So just coming around the foot of Pickersty now, into this little bowl, and you see the clouds diving over the top, the summit of Van Voil there. It's absolutely awesome. I'm not sure Paul's a fan of this bit. It's a bit tight. It's not too bad. It just feels a lot narrower because you're sort of close to the cliff there and the drop there. But that's fine. Easily wide enough. You aren't going to be ducking around anything, and it's only a short one. So we're just starting to enter that cloud formation I showed you earlier that was coming over the top of the mountain. But we seem to have got lucky along this whole trip. So yesterday's weather was supposed to be a lot wetter in the evening, and we dodged that. The rain didn't start till we were in the tents. Sunrise, okay, we didn't get a clear one, but we got even better with the clouds. Dropping down here, we went underneath the clouds rather than getting clagged out, and now we've come over this side. Despite how thick it looked from over there, it's actually starting to clear up, so we've done pretty well as far as weather's concerned, and the views have been absolutely spectacular. Whether we've been on the high route or the low route. Absolutely wonderful place. If you get a chance to come and visit here, then you really should. Most people would come in, so you won't make it out on the camera, but there's a road that comes in there, and Llyn Van Vark's just around the corner there. But that's where most people would come and do this walk and loop around here. But I prefer coming in the other way, just because you get that ridge all the way over the top to Van Hiel, to get an extra summit in. But look at that. That is like something out of Lord of the Rings. So we're just making our way around the turn at the bottom of Fan Brecon, or the edge of Fan Brecon, I should say. But we just met a guy going the other way, and the first words he said to me was, "Finally I can see." So I don't know if this flag is going to be clearing for us, but you see that it's giving us some spectacular views as it's rolling off down the hill towards Llyn Van Vark. Not sure how much I'll be filming on the way back. It may get a lot more boring from here. What a difference over this side. Completely clagged out and not a breath of wind. You swear we're in a different country. Literally, as you turn the corner, straight into this soup. Can't even see the lake. The lake is there, I promise. Paul said if he can't see the lake, he's gonna injure me, shall we say. Let's be kind about it. But technically the lake is in sight. It's just the cloud that's in the way, so I'm avoiding him for the next 10 minutes. So we've just hit the shore of the lake. There. So I think I'm safe now. Am I safe now?
You're safe now.
Right, seeing as the sun has come out, and then some, I thought we'd sign off here. Before we go though, Paul, what do you think?
Gorgeous, mate, gorgeous. Thanks for having me along.
Oh, pleasure. You're the one I should be thanking, to be honest, mate. But yeah, I think we've lucked out the whole trip, to be honest, with weather. Apart from that claggy bit down by the lake there, we've been really lucky. I've left my my raincoat on probably for far too long. I'm sweating out of every pore. But we've not got long to go now to the car, probably only another 1.5 miles or so. So like I said, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you very much for watching. I'll upload the video of our little chat probably after this one, and I'll put a link somewhere, and I'll link to Paul's video, but let's face it, you probably watched this first. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.